Imagine being a Japanese farmer in the early 1940s, waking up at dawn to start your day. As you step outside, you hear an unusual fluttering above. You look up to the sky and you see what can only be described as a swarm of flying demons. Suddenly, you hear explosions all around you and your barn erupts in flames. You can hear distant screaming, only to notice fires everywhere you look, including an orange glow coming from a city on the horizon. This scenario nearly became a reality during World War II, when the United States developed an unconventional weapon, the bat bomb. The idea was conceived by Dr. L.S. Adams, a dental surgeon, who after visiting Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico, was inspired by the millions of Mexican free-tailed bats roosting above. These bats, weighing about half an ounce, could carry objects up to twice their body weight in flight, which is about the equivalent of you running at full speed with a Harley-Davidson motorcycle on your shoulders, making these bats suitable carriers for small incendiary devices. Their natural behavior of seeking dark, secluded places to roost at nightfall meant they could infiltrate buildings undetected. The plan, known as Project X-Ray, involved airdropping large pods filled with thousands of hibernating bats over Japanese cities at dawn. Equipped with incendiary bombs filled with napalm and a 30-minute timer, the bats would naturally roost in the predominantly wooden architecture across Japan, and then the devices would ignite, causing an expected 4,500 simultaneous fires across the country. Tests were conducted, but the project faced challenges, including bats not waking from hibernation and plummeting to the ground inside their pod, and in one incident, several dozen bats escaped from the testing facility, setting fire to an entire US Army airfield. Ultimately, because of these failings, the project was deemed impractical, and was eventually replaced by a solution that you may have heard of, the development of the atomic bomb. And that was just bats' involvement with war. But what about animals that most of us welcome into our homes with open arms? That's right, even house cats have been enlisted in war efforts, though not always with great success. In the 1960s, during the Cold War, the CIA launched Operation Acoustic Kitty, an experiment to use cats as listening devices. During testing, engineers surgically implanted a microphone into a cat's ear canal, along with a transmitter at the base of its skull. The hope was that the cat would be able to wander near sensitive locations to gather intelligence on Soviet embassies without arousing suspicion in order to record conversations. The first mission, for reasons that make absolute sense to any cat lover, was a disaster. The cat, on its own first deployment, reportedly became distracted and wandered off from the target, uninterested in spying or adhering to the mission orders it was given. Despite spending over $20 million on the project, or almost $500 million in today's money with inflation, the CIA eventually abandoned Operation Acoustic Kitty, concluding that the idea was simply unfeasible. But what about an unexpected animal that made a genuine difference in war? Well, during World War I, trench warfare presented numerous challenges for soldiers, including the inability to use light at night. Exposing a light source could immediately draw enemy fire, yet soldiers needed illumination for reading maps, writing letters, and handling equipment. Their unlikely solution? Glowworms. These soldiers would gather these bioluminescent insects in jars to provide soft, greenish light that was visible up close but subtle enough to avoid enemy detection. This is one of the few instances where animals contributed to war, not through brute strength, skill, or with their lives, but by simply existing with a unique natural ability. But going back even further than World War I, and long before modern warfare, soldiers would sometimes use snakes as a weapon of terror. Though there are several examples of this from ancient Asia and South America, one of the most interesting uses was surprisingly done during naval warfare. In 190 BC, a general named Hannibal won a massive surprise victory against King Eumenes II. Although vastly outnumbered in ships, men, and weapons, Hannibal had an ingenious strategy in which he ordered his men to fill clay pots full of venomous snakes. During the preceding naval battle, Hannibal's forces fired hundreds of clay pots filled with these snakes against Pergamon's ships. Through both physical and psychological terror, these snakes caused vast amounts of horror as they filled enemy ships and gave soldiers nowhere else to run, with even the waters providing no sanctuary as angry snakes fell overboard into the ocean, leading to Hannibal's army scoring a resounding victory. But what if soldiers had to deal with snakes in their natural habitat? Well, during World War II, soldiers stationed in tropical regions like India, Burma, and the Pacific faced the constant danger of venomous snakes, such as cobras. To combat this, mongooses were introduced to military camps as a natural form of pest control. As mongooses are highly territorial, once one had settled into a camp, it would effectively keep the area snake-free. But mongooses were more than just snake fighters. Due to their loyalty, soldiers often kept them as pets or companions, where due to their territorial nature, they became adept at sensing danger beyond snakes. These mongoose companions would often sleep curled up next to their handlers, and would grow restless when intruders approached under the cover of darkness, making them an effective early warning system and saving lives by alerting their human allies to nearby threats. In modern times, other animals have become useful as early threat detectors. As surveillance and combat drones have become more prevalent, capable of executing precision strikes or providing critical reconnaissance, military forces have needed creative solutions in order to counter them, particularly in the forests and rural landscapes of Eastern Europe, in the battle between Ukraine and Russia. Wolves have emerged as a natural line of defense against these airborne threats. With their sharp hearing and exceptional eyesight, they can detect drones early, even over long distances. On top of this, wolves are territorial by nature and view unfamiliar, buzzing intrusions as threats. Their natural instincts drive them to chase and even attack drones, often knocking them out of the sky and tearing them to shreds. Eastern European military reports have noted instances of wolves acting as unintentional drone deterrents, disrupting reconnaissance missions and causing significant setbacks for forces on both sides. This surprising behaviour isn't the result of training, but rather an example of how wildlife interacts with modern technology. Wolves, with their intelligence and territorial instincts, remind us that even in the age of advanced technology, nature can still adapt and play an unexpected role in modern warfare. Thanks for joining us on this unique journey through history. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to Earthlore for more incredible untold stories from across our planet.